guys, this is Matt Brunet, and welcome to Movie News Weekly, hosted by FilmBook. Now, before we begin, let's take a look at what we got in this week's news, which includes Where Else Can You Find 19, the tour guide of the Jungle Cruise ride, the muscles of Bumblebee, the Professor and the lawsuit, the dark post-production, Who Will Dominate the Pride Lands, Episode 9 rewrites, Jaden Smith Pro Skater 4, The Book of Legos, and Justin Lin's movie updates. So with that said, let's get things started. I'm sure the Stephen King fans must be laughing hysterically now by the irony. The Dark Tower, the latest movie based on a Stephen King novel, managed to get up into first place at the box office during a very slow weekend by, funny enough, earning more than $19 million. If you read the book, then you would probably understand why. Meanwhile, last week's top contenders had to take one step down to make room for The Dark Tower, as Dunkirk went to second by making around $17.5 million, the universally despised The Emoji Movie in third with more than $12 million, and Girls Trip with around $11.5 million. As for the other new movie out this week, Kidnapped, starring Halle Berry, it made a poor start by only getting in fifth with more than $10 million. The only big step up that happened was when Detroit got released nationally and went from 16th to 8th place with more than $7 million, behind Spider-Man Homecoming with less than $9 million and Atomic Blonde with more than $8 million. Looks like the cast has finally found their skipper. Jamie Colette Serra has signed on with Disney in order to direct The Jungle Cruise. While plot details and other members of the cast are kept under wraps, Dwayne Johnson will be the star and be producing the film with Danny Garcia under the 7 Bucks Productions. In the hopes that Disney could make their next Pirates of the Caribbean, the action-adventure film will be based on the original Disneyland attraction that would take guests to various jungle rivers from around the world to see all different types of animals. The ride has been a staple in almost all Disney parks and toured guests since Disneyland's opening back in 1995. Coincidentally, Johnson and 7 Bucks Productions will soon release the reboot of Jumanji with Sony Pictures. Disney is planning for the filming to start in the spring of 2018. And his name is... screw it, you get the idea. John Cena has announced to play one of the leading roles in the Transformers spin-off film, Bumblebee. The movie will tell the story of how the giant robot found refuge in a junkyard and ends up befriending a girl named Charlie. The rest of the cast include Haley Steinfeld as Charlie, Jason Drucker, Rachel Crow, Jorge Lendeborg, Abby Quinn, Grace Dizeni, and Ricardo Hoyos, while Kubo and the Two Strings' Travis Knight will be the director. For Paramount Pictures, this will hopefully be the start of turning the Transformers franchise into an entire cinematic universe, with plenty of other spin-off films and offshoots to come. The movie will be battling with Warner Bros. Aquaman in theaters, as Bumblebee will be released on December 21st, 2018. I don't know what genre this movie would belong, but for now, it just became a courtroom drama. Mel Gibson, along with his company Icon Productions, is suing Voltage Pictures for breaching their contract by not putting up the budget for the film The Professor and the Madman. The complaint stated, among other things, defendants failed to provide Icon, much less get its approval of, a final budget for the picture. Despite a clear requirement to do so, defendants failed to secure a completion bond. As such, there is no completion guarantor to break disputes between the parties on budgets or schedule. Gibson is also suing Voltage for not allowing him to approve any of the cuts done by writer and director Farhad Safina and present them to distributors at the Cannes Film Festival. The plaintiffs are looking for the defendants to pay for damages and to terminate their contract. Well, that could explain the bad reviews. Variety opened up an article revealing that according to sources, Sony's latest feature, The Dark Tower, went through a series of complications before its release. When director Nikolaj Arcel presented his cut to the film, Sony's Tom Rothman and Media Right Capital's Modi Wikzik, the two heads were close to considering a replacement for Arcel and went to the editing room to demand some changes. There were also some blind screenings that happened last October, when all of which audiences felt confused about the whole plot and gave the film poor reviews. On top of that, the companies would afterwards spend $6 million in reshoots to further explain the gunman's backstory on why he hates the Man in Black, and more exposition on the Mid-World. Arcel stated, "On a film with 2 studios and powerful producers, obviously there is much passionate creative debate on how to work certain ideas or beats. But I felt supported throughout, and they all looked to me for answers. If someone had jumped into my editing room and taken over, I would have left initially." The film is currently fresh in theaters during this weekend. Here's the new guy that will make you weep for killing Mufasa. Chiwetel Ejiofor is currently in talks with Disney in order to be the voice of Scar in Disney's live-action remake of The Lion King. If he accepts, he will be among the cast that includes Donald Glover as Simba, John Oliver as Zazu, and James Earl Jones returning as Mufasa. As Jeremy Irons provided the voice of the legendary villain in the original 1994 animated feature, there were rumors that floated around that Hugh Jackman was supposed to play the part, but his representatives quickly denied it. A few weeks ago at the D23 Expo, director Jon Favreau surprised fans with an exclusive clip of the live-action version of the opening Circle of Life scene. The film will be prepared for theaters, no pun intended, on July 19th, 2019. Just wait a moment, because that 9th episode isn't fully ready yet. Jack Thorne has been hired by Disney in order to rewrite the script of Star Wars Episode 9. Director Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly wrote the original draft of the script, but sources have stated that Lucasfilm wanted to find someone with fresh eyes to improve upon the writing. Many of Thorne's credits are from creating many different British TV series, including The Fades, The Last Panthers, The Cast-Offs, His Dark Materials, and Philip K. Dick's Electric Sheep. Among the cast, it is expected that Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac will be returning for the 9th installment. But we're not 100% sure yet, because who knows what could happen in the 8th episode. Production is hoping to begin at the start of 2018, and the film is set off to be out in theaters on May 24th, 2019. Ah yes, remember the days when skateboarding was the #1 extreme sport and Tony Hawk was a big name legend? Jaden Smith and Elizabeth Rodriguez of Orange is the New Black will be the stars in a skateboarding movie directed by Crystal Moselle. Written by Alicia Unaldi and Jennifer Silverman, the movie will follow the story of Camille, who goes through a coming-of-age journey when she decided to join a group of skateboarding girls and explore around the subculture of New York City. The skateboarding girls will be played by a real group of skateboarders that the director met when doing a documentary short called Skate Kitchen. The untitled film will mark as the first narrative movie for Moselle since her directorial debut came for the 2015 documentary The Wolfpack. While no release date has been set, the film had just recently finished principal photography. They'll need some extra help for building this set. Jorge Gutierrez has come on board at Warner Brothers in order to develop a spin-off film of the Lego movie called The Billion Brick Race. While no plot details have been announced for this project, the film came from both Jason Segel and Iron Man 3 writer Drew Pearce, which the latter came up with the initial idea. As it is a surprising turn for his career path, the artist and director has been very well known to be a high-profile Mexican ambassador of animation, which his unique style and influence of his home country are very prominent in his works, including the Nickelodeon show El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera, the 2014 animated feature The Book of Life, and the upcoming virtual reality short on Google Spotlight Stories, Son of Jaguar, which will be about tradition, family, and Mexican wrestling. The next LEGO movies coming up will be the LEGO Ninjago movie, coming September 22nd, and the sequel to the LEGO movie, coming February 2019. Looks like we'll have to hold on to that slam because we can't jam yet. During a panel at the Television Critics Association, director Justin Lin stated that the next project he's doing will be to shoot an independent film, which his bigger movies, Legendary's Hot Wheels and Warner Bros.' long-awaited sequel to Space Jam, will have to wait. Lin stated, "On both Space Jam and Hot Wheels, I have great partners. A lot of times now with these big tentpoles, everybody's trying to jam a movie in a limited time. I feel like I'm too old for that. I want to make sure that we do everything right." So those two projects, with Legendary on Hot Wheels and Warner Bros. On Space Jam 2, They've been great about saying, what do we need to do and how much time do you need? Let's keep getting it right. Lin would continue mentioning Space Jam 2 about how he's waiting to get the right athletes who can act and know how to make the Looney Tunes relevant for the modern age. And that's all I've got for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to head on down to film-book.com for all the latest movie and TV news, along with their columns on the box office and their theatrical release schedule. Also, you can follow them on whatever social media you'd like. And while you're at it, you can follow me on my YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter if you're more into stuff like animation, Disney, and my weird sense of humor. If you are watching this on YouTube, then hit that like button and come subscribe to us, and also leave a little comment on what you think on the news this week. If you were listening to this on a podcast on iTunes or any other podcast service, then don't forget to rate and review what you just heard. Tune in next time for another round of Movie News Weekly, and until next week, see you later, dudes!